coming in for?
The historical, I mean, the Presbyterian Church rent.
Okay.
The rent, yeah. All right, so we'll get started. We're just waiting for Benjamin, but just to sort of get started. So, yeah, today's plan is we've got Anne Marie coming in at 10, Jack Tilburg coming in at 10:15, and Ellen Gove and Dan Binder for the Presbyterian Church rent for the nutrition program coming in at 11. Shelby has given you, and did you email them out also, Shelby?
No, not yet. Like email the workbook?
Yes, because I think
Yeah.
Nick wants it. So it's the latest workbook has the updates that we've made so far, as well as a few, Barbara did some work on health insurance. And also added in the 2023 actual numbers so that we don't have, like, normally I just sit there and I have 2023 sitting there and I cross-reference, but now it's all on one page.
I do appreciate that. I know it's probably a lot of work.
Honestly, it wasn't too bad, actually. And I could like reference it with the draft audit. So
In that case, I know this.
So you just less paper flipping. So. The print got a little smaller, but
yeah,
to be expected.
Got my magnifying glass.
yeah.
I'm putting it in my bag. Okay.
So what I want to do today is before people come in, before Emily gets here at 10 o'clock? Yeah, 10 o'clock. We can go through the changes made so far, just to review, especially since you weren't here, Albert, to be able to chime in on some of the meeting and changes. So I have a spreadsheet. We have a whole group of spreadsheets. There's,
Nothing I love more than a spreadsheet. That's a joke.
I was just saying, I actually genuinely love spreadsheets.
okay, so
I knew my audience.
so I've given you, I pulled together budget items to review. So that's one of the, it's a 2-pager in the loose sheets, which shall be photocopied for you this morning. And then there's also changes from tentative budget. So the supervisor's budget is the tentative budget. So just so we get the nomenclature right.
What's the leaf sheet you're referring to?
It's going to be the one that has budget items to review 2025.
It's this set up horizontal.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I did is anything that in my notes I had, the stapler.
Yeah, I think there's 2 pages to my mistake.
I'll take the stapler first.
We'll do that. Budget item to review is,
It's a horizontal 2-pager.
got it.
If you like to speak with. I stole it. Do you want it back?
Not the stapler?
Yeah.
And then changes, do you want to staple that too?
Yeah.
Okay, set that down. Okay.
Thank you.
So the overview, the high level at the moment is, if you look at the cover sheet in the budget workbook, we started with a tentative budget with a 10.2% increase. We are now at 8%. And if you look at the changes from tentative budget, I have included, go ahead.
So where do we find this $250,000?
That's what I was going to talk about next.
Oh, okay.
If you go to the changes from tentative budget, I have noted every single change that we made to the budget. So you'll see that in the A fund expenditures, we reduced expenditures by $147,481. Most of that is coming from medical insurance and health insurance stipends, which Barbara.
Oh, this is the Barbara.
So so she sharpened her pencil and like went through and did detailed computations for everything. So you'll see like where we saved money. And if you look at page 2, and we'll be going through some of these as we go through, but I just wanted you to have an overview, and I also wanted to just understand where things came from. But health insurance savings across the A fund, the B fund, the DA and DB funds was $202,000. So that saved 1.7%. And then town board adjustments, we saved $56,616. So we came up with 0.5% of savings. So
Just. Where's that?
it's on the second page at the very bottom. I took the overall total changes to 258,000 and broke it down between where
Got
it
it.
came from. Just because.
Where, what adjustments are adjustments that we made at this time?
Exactly. So we reduced the budget so far by 2.2%, but didn't want us to think we were heroes because Barbara was the hero.
Barbara's always a hero. She must be getting tired of that.
So we can,
How did we get the health insurance savings?
she went through because we did estimates based upon last year on the tentative budget. And then she actually sits down and goes through and looks at like every single department, who's taking health insurance, who's not.
Okay.
Using our same assumption of a 7% health insurance increase. But like there was someone in the mechanics who was taking the health insurance stipend. And they're no longer going to be taking that in the coming year.
Okay.
So that was a savings of 70.
Substantial savings. Who was she that did that?
Barbara Blue.
Barbara Blue.
Barbara, okay, all right.
Yeah, so she spent some time with a very detailed look at this.
It's difficult.
Responsible for the blueberry coffee.
Barbara, thank you for your effort.
Probably not so great.
Shame on you.
Very
We
coffee.
had to make a minimum, you know? Just throw it in there.
Okay, so this is, so if you want to like understand where all of the changes were in the budget, this is
This is it.
This
Okay.
is it. So you can take a look at that and go through that. What I thought we would do until 10 is go through the budget items to review, because these were the things that I had picked up that we either had questions, we were going to confirm something. So I wanted to highlight those. If something was just like, we're changing this, like building department revenues, we increased, by a certain amount, which was 25,000. Since there was no more discussion, no more investigation, I didn't put that on this list, but it is on the detailed calculation list. So budget items to review, starting from the top then, is councilperson salaries. There was discussion about holding the 2024 salary, so it's in at 46,700 per councilperson. The existing salary is $45,030.10. I have pulled out I went to each of the 5 East End towns, the other 4 East End towns. So there's a sheet called salary comparisons. Yeah.
Turn this thing, excuse me.
So if you,
We should move these down.
no, Southampton.
No, we don't.
Oh, no, you're right, East Hampton's higher for town board. But, yeah, so actually, the town board salaries for Shelter Island are slightly above Southold, which when Al Krupski and I were chatting a couple weeks ago, we were both a little surprised at the salary levels.
Here's my thoughts on salary.
Mhm.
In the past, when we were on the board, some years ago, when we went out to the public with a budget that was large, with a number that was big, we froze the salaries at the town board level. And I'm suggesting that we do that now.
I would agree with Al. It's a good position to take, show some leadership.
We did have representatives from the Democratic and Republican parties come in and ask us to consider changing the meeting times so that they could have a better opportunity, better chance of attracting candidates who were that might want to be able to, contribute to the board. With that, knowing how hard we all work, there needs to be a compensation component if we're going to continue to attract people. And historically, we've attracted retired people or self-employed people. Very rarely has there been a town board member who has a job where they are an employee for somebody else because of not being able to flex their schedule, and also the fact that they work and they need to earn some sort of compensation. And I feel, looking at this, we are on the low side for the town board and supervisor salaries. And I think the amount of savings that we would garner, I didn't do that
It's
calculation.
not a lot of money, granted, but it's more symbolic. Is there a way we can freeze it for us, and then the next incoming board, we can raise it?
That would depend on how next year's numbers shake out.
Mhm.
And I feel like that could be a slippery slope. I'm just doing a quick calculation here.
We'll raise it now, not implement it.
I can't really,
And then when it comes to next year's budget, should show the raised number and the little savings, a little differential on the actual. I mean, what we really do need to do is get to this $85,000 number. But don't want to do it on my watch. Because yes, we do need to start attracting a broader group of people to sit here.
I think we bite the bullet. We've done it in the past.
Meg?
I agree with Amber. I think it's hard enough to get people to run, and then they look at how much they're running for, and it's not worth it, the amount of time that they have to put in. And, I think if we want to be able to attract a broader group of people to run for this position, it needs to be worth their while in some fashion. So I think that this is a minimal increase. It's not really going to affect the final outcome of the budget significantly.
No,
So
I think it's more symbolic. And it's $1,700 for the
So it
council
would
people.
be $10,417 in total.
10,470. I mean, it's something. It's it's a genuine effort. Put it that way.
It would lower the budget by 0.1%.
Like I said, it's more symbolic than actual. So what's the next thing on the list?
quite a bit of skill.
I was going to say, yeah. So the next item, so I'll just leave that as open. Ethics Board, we proposed cutting the professional services from 2,000 to 1,000. I confirmed with Duff that he was okay with that. That one stands. Office and miscellaneous at the town board level. I went through and double checked all of the numbers to see just. Last year, we spent 7,600. The budget was modified to 6,000. We are on track. We're just below 5,000 right now. And Mike looked at everything. Just make sure I'm in the right category.
I don't understand the note. The budget needs to be 47, not 50.
We were going to cut it down to 3.
We're gonna cut it to 3,000. We're almost at 5,000. So I just, looking at it, the budget needs to be 4,700. So
Okay.
originally it was
All right.
5,100, we can't cut it to 3,000, it needs to be 4,700.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Might save something by not buying blueberry coffee.
The Association of Towns, how many people does that represent going?
It's not the full board, it was
Yeah, hold on just a second. I've got
I'm sorry, what's the question?
for Association of Towns, it's line A 496.
Got it.
Yeah, that's in total 7 people. But let me see if I. Should have made a complete list. Just take me a second here. I have it in the spreadsheet, the budget that I worked on originally.
What last year? That might be-
A lot of people. Okay, so for 2025, 1, 2, 3, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. So supervisor, the newly elected town board member, Stephen Kiley, Shelby, and then the 2 of you, not Meg. Just because I didn't want to send the whole board and Meg's up for.
Town board member, it's one of us.
I know, it would be whoever wins the election.
Ah,
Right,
Oh,
in
so
November,
that's next
yeah,
year.
it's for
You
next
know,
year.
Yes.
Amber, I wouldn't need to go. I went last year and I went, the years before.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it is a good thing, but I don't need to go, really.
Okay.
I'm not sure that you bothered budgeting for this, but me going has a much lesser impact. I don't need a hotel, I don't need.
Right, but the new person would also probably go to the newly elected officials.
Yes,
So there'd be one of
That is
those.
beneficial for them
Yes.
to go to.
that's super.
Yes. Yeah,
super-
I think.
And then the association,
Yes.
the
Yeah,
AOT.
it is, yes. All right, so we could cut that one by 1140 is what it costs.
I mean,
for.
it's,
So let me. I'll let Shelby, I'll let you track the changes. and- Association of Towns.
what does that become?
6860?
68, 60.
That's not on items to review, that's just in the budget,
Pardon? No, it was, yes,
496.
also, for those that we know definitely want to go, we want to do the initial sign up by the end of October, just so we can get the savings.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't, like, we don't, the new town board member, we won't be able to sign up.
This is Albany,
No,
or is this New York?
this is
They-
the New York
need
Association
it.
of Towns.
Identification, they need a
Yes.
name, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we could
Unfortunately.
just hold a spot, because that would be
Yeah.
cost effective.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll go again, like I said, it's cheaper for me to go, so.
Okay, yeah.
What if you signed me up and then we transfer it to the new person? Could you do
We'll have
that?
to ask, we'll ask Judy that question.
Because if you can do that,
Maybe.
just do that and save the money.
Mhm.
And just
That's a
convert
Judy,
it to
yeah,
whoever
Judy
gets
question.
elected.
Yeah, we did it last year with Mary Faith, yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Christina. All right, the next item on the list, which is also right after Association of Towns, is professional fees. And I have a spreadsheet.
It's like spreadsheets are so great.
Stop.
No, no, I figured this year, usually I have these spreadsheets going, but I formalized them this year so that rather than just sharing my thoughts, I could share my thoughts. So for professional services, what I did is I pulled 2023 to see how much we spent in the various categories. We spent $219,022. I have a column for where we are through September 30th. We're up to 115,000, where I expect 2024 to end at $210,031. So I increased the budget from 200,000 to 215,350 based upon where it looks like 2024 is going.
What is in professional services?
There's a spreadsheet.
There is one.
Yeah, so you've got Colin and Danowski, who are our contract accountants.
It looks like this.
Did you find it, Albert?
Yes, I
Okay,
did, thank you.
Yeah, so we got our contract accountants are in there, labor council is in there, grant writer, our town code updates, our GASB 75 compliance. There had been public sector, but that's been moved to human resources because that's the handbook and also anything that we, like whatever, human resources, since it's now its own department. PW Grosser, you'll see that that hasn't increased. The seeker reviews, 20,000. Perillo Hill is outside legal counsel. They usually do when we need to be represented in state Supreme Court, and we have two cases that we authorized going to state Supreme Court earlier this year, also defending us against, lawsuits that come at us.
Well, that's Tim Hill.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. Margolin Bessunder was just a one-off in 2023 earlier, and then just miscellaneous.
Labor Council,
Mhm.
where does that come into play?
We have Labor Council on a retainer, so there's some things covered under the agreement. And then also when we have employee disputes, investigations, which it seems as if every year there's a couple of them, so we have to have someone come in.
Yes.
So they handle that, and yeah. I do want to look at that a little bit when, at the end of the year, just to double check the contract. And actually, Lamb and Barnowski is now Keen and Bean. I didn't rename that. And the contract accountants, that does, switch up a little bit each year. If it gets to a point where it gets equivalent to a salary, then I would want to hire a controller type person to replace them. But we're a few years down the road from that, which is something to consider.
But who does the audit?
The audit is PKF O'Connor Davies, and that's on a different line. We have a line just for the audit. You can see in 2023, 10,000 snuck into the 2023 numbers. It should have been on a different line. So I did take that up to 215,350.
And this is all the legal fees for 2023. It seems like the number is bigger. Or am I thinking about 2022?
You're thinking 2022.
Yeah, it was like 160,000 or something.
Yep, that's the year we got sued. I remember, well, actually, there were a couple of lawsuits.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there was a little bit of spillover into 2023, and then there was also some spillover into 2024.
It's painful. It's 2% almost, but
Yeah. You know, try and do our best to not incur lawsuits. And of course, there's lawsuits that the planning board, there's legal fees in the planning board, but that's the B fund in the planning board.
that's
It
in
doesn't-
their own budget, so.
Yes.
What's that number? So that's like $25,000, isn't it?
Yeah, their number has, also has the engineering and their
The
own,
wetlands.
yeah, I was gonna say, the engineer, their professional services, engineering, it has their labor, their legal counsel that attends all their meetings, as well as the outside defending.
Gotcha.
Planning board, their legal fees were. Professional services is what it's all under.
Yeah.
Their number was, the actual for, right now it's at 38, 41.
Mm-hmm.
We have proposed 20,000.
Yes, I took that down to 20,000 because wetlands is no longer there, and so I looked at the legal bills of their existing counsel to see how much of an increase and how much of her bills were related to wetlands applications. So I did a detailed dive on, that's gotta come out, that's gotta come out, that's gotta come out.
And shifted it to,
Town board.
Town board, yeah, but, and not even here,
because it doesn't go away, it just moves.
to Stephen, to our, to our attorney.
Oh,
So we do get a savings there. There's the budget grant, then the next was office and miscellaneous, under the supervisors column, and as I was looking through things, the East End Supervisors and Mayors Association, the way that works is each town or village hosts the East End Supervisors and Mayors for, like when we have our meetings, they rotate from town to town. So every other year, Shelter Island ends up hosting. So I ended up increasing office and miscellaneous by 1,000 because that's where that lunch gets recorded.
and you said every other year, but there are 5 towns.
And villages. So like next week, we're going to the Village of Greenport.
Okay, how often does it meet?
Basically once every other month.
Oh.
Yeah.
okay.
And sometimes not even 6 times a year, depending on what's going on with everybody's schedule. But for the most part, every other month. So I increased it, but I also made a note for the 2026 budget to take that
Back out.
because it's only on the even years, or odd years.
That's an office and miscellaneous.
Yeah, and
Oh.
miscellaneous, yeah.
And the second one,
Right, in
it's
the
the same account, but,
Oh, that's, 1010 is the town board office and miscellaneous, and then 1220 is supervisors. Yeah.
When is that lunch?
It'll be in December of 2025.
Where do you hold it?
When, last year Jerry hosted it at the Chequet, but I I went to that one, but in other years, I know, I think Jim Doherty one time hosted it at Neshomic and had some, had catered food brought in. So it just depends.
Okay.
Oh, the next item, that was more of a note to me. There's no change there. The date for Coco's longevity, didn't jive with her being eligible, but the date that I had in my salary schedule was incorrect, so she is eligible for the longevity.
Okay.
And then under human resources, which is the
So I just call
A 1221, A
1221, 491.
Thank you. I can speak.
I found it.
Okay, so that's on page 5, if you're looking in your books. So the question was, what was that 2,500 in service contracts for?
Mhm.
And so it is,
HR.
yes, some sort of software package. Right now, we have, everything is pretty much paper, and so one of the things that Coco's going to work on is getting things digitized, and she's looked at a couple of different software packages, and they range in price. Some things, there's some free ones, which we're leaning towards, but then there's also the $17,000 package that does everything that you'd want for HR. We'll probably end up going mostly with free, but we want to have a little bit of money in the budget for her to do some upgrades,
Okay.
and there will be some things. And we don't have a place where employees can like log in and access the employee handbook or, look up, where they stand with their training schedules and stuff like that. So we will need to do something that digitizes things.
Mhm.
We were on that page, town board, other item, independent audit.
Yeah.
What happened to that? 2023, and now we're,
Actually, Shelby, did you look at that? didn't
Yeah,
notice
I
that.
think we're
There was
just like, it tracks like behind, you know what I
So-
mean? Like,
10,000 was in professional services. So there was definitely a misposting.
25, and then now it's
76.
76.
yeah, well, 76 is what the engagement letter is. So it might be like, saying like we're behind in paying, not behind, but like it's a lag, yeah. But yes, I'll look at it.
Page 5.
Page 5, yes. Yeah, let's definitely look at that because something's obviously wrong there.
Like we might have paid them even earlier this year.
We blame you,
52.
Shelby, we blame you.
Maybe it got posted to a different part of the budget in 2023, like
Yeah.
10,000 of it in miscellaneous, it might have been posted to different places.
Actually, missing page.
And I know that includes that includes all of, Justice Court has to get audited too. So maybe even that,
It might have gotten broken out justice court versus the rest of the town.
even though it should all be in here.
We'll put that on 4. On page 6, the tax assessors had, Judith had come in requesting a salary bump up. What do we want to do with that request?
Sorry, what was the request?
Judith came in and requested a bump up in salaries for her people, just because of the extra work with taking on more responsibility, getting the revaluation done.
More sympathetic to her pitch.
Above and beyond your proposed?
Yeah, if you look at the department proposed, and you can see, I took everybody back to a 3.7% increase. And the only change on Judith's, she had put in a lower percentage for herself, just not realizing that 3.7% was what I was using for everybody, because that was
Am I
the
reading,
CPI.
am I reading this wrong, or looks like $1,000?
What?
Am I reading this wrong? Or is the difference $1,000?
You're on page 6?
Yeah.
What
Whenever
column?
you're ready for me, just.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Emery.
The 2024 adopted is 232,754.
Mhm. We
Oh, okay,
We never hired the part-time assessor.
got it. And they're doing the extra work. So we're saying for next year it should be
So
233,
That's what I put in.
so that's $1,000 difference from what was adopted for this year.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's mostly for Hardy and
It would be Hardy,
Augusto.
yes.
For $1,000, yes.
Do what, bump,
To bump Blanca and,
Yeah,
now, we did keep in the $1,000 for Blanca to do translating,
Mhm.
because that's a service she is providing, so she should get paid for it. So that brings you up to 48,900. So we could kind of fill the gap.
yeah, so she was, instead of the 3.7%, she gave us a schedule that had 5% or 7%. And so the 5% column, Laurel would go from 50,900 to 51,450, which is an increase of $550. And the clerk would go from 47,900 to 48,465. So that would be an increase of
I don't have a problem with this.
$600.
I think we spent more money just talking about.
I want to keep round numbers, so 51,500 then?
Or, yes, for Hardy.
And 48,500?
48,500.
So that's an increase of 1,200. So then the total on personal services in that column then would be 234,900.
You change Pat's at all? No,
No.
just Laurel and Blanca.
Yeah.
I have 234,800. 51,400 and then 48,500.
51,500,
Okay.
And then
48,500.
Pat's already getting
Yeah,
what she asked for.
Mhm.
And then just move it.
right, okay.
Same thing with Charlie.
Just one of the things that, I gave you a schedule, because, we had talked about where, like, you know, people have different salaries in different places. So one of the schedules that I gave you is this very busy one, very small print, not that one,
Oh, no.
the next one. That has, no, next page, okay, yes, it has all of the clerk salaries, and, well, all the, like, a lot of different employee salaries. So something to keep in mind is that we've just taken Blanca up. I'll reprint this after we're done today, so you can take a look at it, because then her hourly rate now surpasses people who've been here longer and in positions that you might consider
Well, this,
working at a higher level.
the number that's proposed here is higher than the number we're putting in the spreadsheet. So if we actually put in the,
No, because that's, she's got the tax receiver piece as well.
oh, okay.
So she's got her tax receiver, she's got the tax assessor role.
Okay.
So that's why that looks higher. I double checked
so
everything
then-
last night.
Actually gonna be,
So, you know, and that doesn't include the extra stipend for the 1,000. So just to point out,
Translation.
just to pick up, you know, we'll
Right.
pick on Shelby for a minute. So if we put this number in, then Blanca, who's been here 3 years, in her position, is now making more per hour than Shelby is, who's been here for 7 years. And
well, why don't we go through and do all the changes that we think should work, and then redo this salary spreadsheet, and then come back and revisit it?
Yeah.
And see
Yeah.
if things need to get checked.
Yeah. But that's, I wanted to just point that out.
That's a good point.
And one of the things that I had originally wanted to do with this budget, until I got to that very high 10.2% and said, or it was higher than 10.2%, is then I went back and redid and took everybody's salaries back down to just the cost of living increases, was to try and get to a place, because historically, the salaries have been all over the place, and over the years that I've been on the board, we've been trying to get to a place where if a entry-level clerk comes in, this is what the salary is. You know, we've been finding is we've had to hire new people, but we've had to pay them more than we've been paying existing people. And so we've been
Right.
trying to jigger everything up, because we don't want to do a salary adjustment when somebody leaves because they just went and found a better paying job. And then we have to hire their replacement at probably the rate that the other person left for. So I just want to make you conscious of that. So that's why this schedule is useful. But we'll do what Meg suggested. We'll make these changes for today and then reprint this.
Incorporate.
Yeah, we'll reprint this on Tuesday. And the thing to keep in mind is, you know, like you do have to look at like, what is the
How
person
many
doing?
hours, yeah.
Yeah, how many, you know, that's why it's, because some people work, you know, 30 hours, some people work 40 hours. So that's why we take it back to an hourly rate. And then their job title is listed. So then you have to take into account what is their job.
What's the difficulty of the job?
Yeah, exactly.
Not to imply that Shelby's job is not difficult.
Okay. All right, so let me just back to our sheet here. It was, okay, so we have now dealt with the request for the bump up. Why don't we pause here, because we have Anne Marie waiting out in the hallway. She's a few minutes early, but we might as well roll.
Okay. And it shows contract, assessor salaries.
So we're on page 6 for tax receiver.
Let's see who we have again. Jeff Nora, Chris someone. Right. Else in here, is it? No one from the public is watching.
Julie, just Julie Lee.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't consider her the public. No offense, Julie, sorry.
Anne Marie had to run back over to the other office. She's gonna need to reschedule. Okay, so we will keep going. Next on the list was Linda Cass. She had pointed out that she was part-time in the town clerk's office. She retired at one point, then she came back and moved to full-time status. So her start date was not correct in the salary schedule. So we reviewed that this week, and she is entitled to longevity. We didn't have her correctly noted in the attached salary schedule, which has now been updated for the correct start date.
Okay, so not really a question here then.
No, but I wanted to let you know why that
Why that-
number changed outside of discussion. Ken is coming in on Tuesday?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
11.
Yeah, so he's coming in on Tuesday, so he can discuss the Goat Hill maintenance, but I did give you a copy of the lease agreement. So you can take a look through it. I think I gave you color copies with my highlights that just highlight the things that we're required to pay for.
When is this up for renewal?
Let me just, it has a couple of, shall expire on December 31st, 2029.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. That's the bad news. The good news is that we've done a lot of work, like a lot of equipment has been replaced this year, the refrigeration and some of the issues that was causing the refrigeration to fail has been rectified.
The electrical in nature?
Yes,
Yeah,
so, and then this coming year, Ken will go over what the total maintenance is. There is some, the joists underneath the kitchen floorboards a couple of them need to be replaced. So once we get past this 2025 year, we may be okay, because we historically put a lot of money in when there's a new person that comes in and points out all the issues that the building has, and then they get taken care of and off the hook for a number of years.
Who's the shelter on the Country Club Lake?
They are not-for-profit that is, they run the golf course. So we lease the building to them and the grounds. They contract with the, someone to come in and run the restaurant. The lease agreement that they have with the restaurant helps subsidize the cost of maintaining the golf course. And so our guys don't take care of the golf course. They hire the people to take care of it and run the pro shop.
So all we really have is an expense line for maintaining
Yes.
the building.
Yeah,
And
exactly,
equipment.
yeah. That's I'm trying to remember who the liaisons are for the golf course.
I won't.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I don't know if they invite you to their annual meeting or,
I usually go.
okay, yeah, so
Who's the other one? I hope it's not me, I don't play golf.
it's not me, must be you.
I'm not the worst person to pick for that job.
I'm a member there.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, just to sort of, liaise and if they have any issues. But Ken will come in and talk to us about that on Tuesday. On EMS.
Are you bounced to?
15,
There you go.
15, okay, page 15. There is a question, and we need to look into it, so we can't resolve it today. Let me just see, I feel like. Jack is the, yeah, we're gonna try and set up the,
This is why it's coming in.
yeah, because he's asked in the past that, thinks that, because he's been running it, that, that he's entitled to the longevity. So we need to look into that. Last year, the board, when this came up, said, no, we don't think you are, but he does believe that, so we just need to resolve it. So, I think we're
Is that a
setting up,
Steven question?
yeah, actually, it
Or
would
a
be
Labor Council
Labor,
question?
Labor Council question, yeah. Yes, yeah, and Judy's actually, yeah, it's a part-time position for him. So, yeah, we're gonna set up a call with Labor Council. Either it'll be at lunchtime today or Monday.
When is he coming in?
He's supposed to come in at,
10:30?
yes, at 10:15.
Oh, today, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Judy call him just to see if this was the only thing that he wanted to discuss, or if he wanted to give us an update on everything.
Okay.
So if he wants to just discuss this, then I'm gonna tell him to hold off. And if it's, if he wants to go over the rest of the budget, then he'll come in and do that.
Communications, I guess that is in the EMS budget, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
I know that we had updated their radios.
Yep.
Yeah, but Jack proposed 15 and we cut it down to 10.
Are they looking for new radios? Well, find out, I guess.
Should let us know. You might also want to discuss this line in the communications.
Oh, yes, yes, yeah, that was, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, I had gone through the communications, and some of the stuff gets funded by the foundation, the ambulance foundation. So that number's always all over the place because they
Yeah.
make a donation, and then we, up our revenues, donations in, plus up the, whatever line, equipment or communications. So this was my take on what's kind of the baseline communications. So not anything special. Okay. So,
He proposed 15.
mhm. Church rent, we have them coming in to go over the increase. That's in nutrition. Yes, that's in nutrition. The next item on the list was the youth center phone and cable. And Bethany was going through the budgets they upgraded to fiber. And so when she was looking at the bill, she's like, oh, this isn't even,
$2,000, right?
yeah. Yeah, I have, let me just see, it's line 7320.
Where's fiber on that one? Here in the center, obviously.
It runs down the 114 corridor. It may branch out to other places. But yeah,
I don't have it at my house, that's.
yeah, the current monthly charge, she gave me a bill for it just this month. The Optimum Fiber is $205 a month. it had been $70
Oh.
for the regular.
So much higher, that's nice.
That's kind of what fiber costs, though. I mean, that's what I paid
Yeah.
other places.
Is it worth it? I mean, damage done, but.
I know. Yeah, exactly. You know, but it is the youth center, and so you do have kids and their after-school programs, and they're in there on their phones and. So I just wanted to alert you to that increase.
How robust is the program?
Oh, for the youth center?
I have no idea, I'm just asking.
Oh, well, actually, you're one of the liaisons, if you want to.
What was the question?
The question, youth center programming. The
How
different-
robust
Oh,
is
but
it?
you're actually Fitz Center. Oh, no,
No, it's
Recreation
rec
Department,
department,
yeah,
really. It does a little bit of everything.
yeah.
Well, they've been doing like jujitsu. They have a whole bunch of different programs that they run. They also do like an after-school program. They used to have like open gym, that kind of thing. But they're trying to add more programs and kind of branch out. They're gonna do more early childhood programs.
Mhm.
So it changes seasonally too.
Would you like Bethany to come in?
No, I was just curious. I don't think we need to distract her for this. This is-
Okay. Jack will come in next week. So
Oh,
we'll
he's
make
not
sure
coming in.
yeah, so because we don't have an answer on longevity, and then we can go over the communications when we, like, do it all in one thought.
Sounds good. Historical Society comes in on
They're coming in today.
Tuesday.
Oh, Historical Society, yeah, sorry. 11/4, okay.
What's the issue there again?
For the Historical
15,000?
Society, the 15,000?
That's right, got it.
So we'll put that on for Tuesday.
I'll be quiet, I'll let you handle that.
What do you want them to come in for?
We give them $15,000 a year as, I guess, a donation.
No, I know.
I just.
This has been like,
Yeah.
this is, so it's you now this year.
Yeah, why don't we give it to the Showmake? Why don't we give it to the Manor? Why don't we? How did they get it? Not
They-
that they're not on.
They have to purchase
They'll tell you on
material
Tuesday.
to preserve the documents. And they have the vault and they have the archivist.
Isn't that a separate contract word?
We need to, yes, we need to finalize a contract with them. So far, I don't think we've come up with any documents that are legally required to be town retained. So if they did have documents that we needed to retain, we would need to, according to the New York State Archivist, delineate exactly what they are, and that they remain our property, but we're letting them, keep custody. So
It's a lot more detail than we thought.
Mhm.
At least I,
Yeah.
They don't just put the documents in like a folder, a manila folder. I mean, it's in a special container of whatever.
But, part of the argument is that they're not documents the town is legally required to
Right.
maintain.
they're doing it for their own
benefit.
great.
Yeah,
Not-
but it's their,
That's
that's
their
their,
role.
that's their role as
It's separate from, but if I was trying to stop.
Right.
So the archivist is something, it's different now. That was what we were gonna do with Dottie's old office.
Right, but.
I went through it,
We did.
yeah, and there's not a lot of documents that either I can hand over, we don't need to retain, and then there's still boxes I need to go through.
Oh, okay. All
So
right.
I wanted to get the bulk out so we could really see what was actually there and where it needed to go and what needs to be preserved, should be in a special place. But we still have to organize it before we just jump in there,
Right, because you have
which I
to,
did. I did a lot. I don't know if you've been over, I did a lot.
I haven't
Jenny
been
did a
there, but I
lot.
was in
No.
there, months ago.
Before, yes, it's
yeah.
totally different now. You can walk through. But
Jenny was
again,
in there.
Jenny, bless
Yeah.
her. She saved me.
a lot of time. But either way, it's totally different from the $15,000 and what we want to incorporate together.
Right, we have a separate contract for specific services.
And you need someone who handles legal documents. If they're legal documents, they can't just be an archivist. Whenever I had that meeting with them, it was a lot more detailed.
Does anybody know how this came to pass in the first place?
No.
The contract or just 15?
No, the
$15,000.
$15,000.
Maybe you could go back in history and see how long we've been paying it.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be painful to change it, I get it. But
And we did, Amber and I did talk to New York State again to, the town historian, because we, William Clark.
Right.
Anyway, name. I was gonna say Billy Clark, but I want to get his real. William Clark was the town historian, and he used to get a stipend, but then a number of years ago, we cut the stipend, and he didn't request that we reinstate it. And we've been looking at, like, maybe the Historical Society as part of this 15,000 could be the town historian. However, a single named person has to be the historian. It can't be an organization. So that's something that we need to, Amber and I continue to talk to the state people about, to figure out how we can name someone to be historian, or someone from the Historical Society who wants to take on that role.
What is the role of the town historian?
That's a topic for another day, and I've got notes.
Okay.
I've got,
Because I'm like,
I have a file.
Can it just
What
be the
is-
clerk who's in charge of the record keeping for the town? Can she also be the historian?
yeah, what is the job
If-
description?
You know, I mean.
Yeah, we
if
have it
that's-
from, yeah, we got some, yeah, I have a file.
It's a thing, I see
Yeah.
this, okay.
Yeah. It's something
bizarre.
that I've been wanting to put on the agenda,
Mhm.
but
We've been a little busy.
doc law, comp plan, way up here, town historian, kind of down here on the, manana.
So the furthest back Williamson, which is the accounting software, goes is 2011, and it was in 2011,
And it was $15,000.
and it was 15,000.
So
And I don't have like board minutes from before then either, so you can,
so for 15
you're probably
years,
better at,
we've been
All right, so
paying
we'll
this.
flip that to
Yeah.
Amber to research for us.
I don't know details.
Hers.
I would,
I hate to be
Yeah.
difficult, but really?
yeah,
We'll listen to it.
I was surprised. I was like,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
wow.
this too, but yeah, if you could look in, by Tuesday, that would be good. We'll see how long.
Yeah, see when and what the notes were, that, if there are any.
Yeah,
Won't be able to show my face at the farmer's market.
I was gonna say.
No more farmer's market for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're gonna have to go to the actual farms.
Okay, so then the medical insurance, I just highlighted in each fund what the health insurance and medical, health insurance stipends and medical insurance decreases were. I
So,
did,
well,
go ahead.
No, if we're down to 8% flat or 8.2 or
Well,
whatever.
we're
it
at
is.
8% flat. Let me just
Mm-hmm.
see if after we up the assessors, yeah, still at 8%.
Where does that put us in the Eastern Towns stack? Because before we were the biggest increase.
I would have to go back and pull, I was gonna do that when I was researching the salary schedule, but then I needed to just carefully read through, because some of the percentages that the other supervisors made, like this, my increase is the tax rate increase,
Mhm.
what's getting pulled from taxpayers, whereas some of the other towns, when they talked, they were talking what their expenditure increases were. So I need to go
Yeah.
back through and carefully read through
Apples to
what
apples.
they're, yeah, to make sure we're doing a comparison one. But I figured I'd wait another
Okay. No,
another
just curious.
meeting.
We were fine.
That's okay.
Yeah, because I was like, I wanted to be very exact, and rather than have notes, be able to give you guys like a proper spreadsheet that like pulled all my thoughts together, but that took more time.
No worries. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No.
We're going on the health insurance.
Yeah, so that's, I just wanted to note that we were good that's where we landed on those. Rental of the medical center, electricity reimbursement, fuel reimbursement, I have the numbers that are in there, but I want to review that with Rob. Because we had gotten behind in billings in a prior year, and he got us all caught up, and
Which one?
Mass
clerk's
Affair in the
office.
clerk's office. Yeah, he
Got it.
handles that billing for us. So I just want to go back and tease out what's actually 2024 numbers and project what 2025 will be.
Mhm.
So there could be changes there. So I'll shoot for Tuesday on that.
Oh, man. Very nice, helpful guy, I like him.
B-Fund health insurance, I think that was the only thing left to review on the expenditure side. And then site plan review fees. I made
What was the health insurance? I'm sorry.
Oh, the health insurance was just when Barbara went in and like got out of, like who the employees are, what, what costs the town bears versus what costs the employees bear. She went through and did the calculation, refined the calculations. Because we had just done sort of a blanket increase based on last year, but as people's salaries go up, then their percentage contribution goes up. So she took that into account.
And I don't think I'm in this number. I shouldn't be at least. I don't take health insurance from the town.
Yeah, do you get the health
Stipend?
insurance stipend?
I think I do.
Yeah, so then you're in the A fund.
Mhm.
Yeah, you'd be part of line A 9060.801.
Uh-huh. And the site plan review fees, that's an income item.
Yes, that's an income item, and we need to, and actually Christina, you're on, or maybe Amber, one of the two of you.
We have to look at the price.
Yeah, we have to look at the pricing, and I think I put that on for future town board work session to discuss what we want to do with those.
Site plan review.
Right.
Yeah, right now it's based on a calculation per square footage.
Per square
and
footage.
I'd rather have a flat.
Have a flat fee,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
gonna say,
Yeah,
because usually the engineers will send a check, but when you have other people, they're just like, what's the cost? And then we're obligated to do the math.
Hmm.
I don't trust it.
That's fair. And also it needs to get moved to the B fund. Because those revenues, that's one of the things is I have to figure out where they've been going in to the A fund, but it's technically a B fund because it's outside of, it just shouldn't include the village of Deering Harbor. And so we've moved like the like wetlands review, the environmental review, we moved her expense into the B fund. Site plan review fee should be in the B fund.
Yeah.
We'll work on that for Tuesday.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, but I got it. It's like contract.
Oh, yeah, the outside contractors in the DA fund. There was a journal entry that just makes the DA fund, that is on
Yeah,
page.
which one's the DA fund again?
That is, oh,
Highway.
it had something, I was going to open.
B is town without Deering
Without Darren
Harbor.
Harbor, yeah.
And there is no C.
There's no, well, CPF, but yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, and actually, I was going to talk about that when we opened, I forgot. In the Association of Towns, Talk of the Towns,
yeah, that one's good.
this one,
Oh, yeah.
there was a nice little write-up that just talks about the different types of funds and things that go into, like, and I sort of had this in my head, but they explain it much better. Like, there's a section in the A fund that has a line for highway, and that's where the highway superintendent's salary is. Administrative costs associated with the highway department belong in the A fund. And then the B fund, as we had discussed, code enforcement, building inspection, costs associated with planning and zoning, those all belong in the B fund. Highway DA, and that's where it got a little bit, like, that's town-wide, which includes the village of Deering Harbor. And for our purposes, machinery, any costs associated with the purchase and repair of highway machinery, equipment, tools, and implements must be charged on a town-wide basis to the DA fund. when you look at Highway DB, which doesn't include the village of Deering Harbor, any towns that have villages must charge the costs associated with highway repairs and improvements to the DB fund. So, and there's more in there if you want to read it, but I just wanted to give you the higher level view, because when I
Thank you for
explained it at the beginning, I don't think I,
I think that was
Did
in
a
the
good
folder.
job.
That was in the folder.
yes, yeah. So I want to just make sure I did a better job explaining that.
Mm.
And when I found that, I was like, oh, here we go. So then finding what page we're on in the DA fund, it was the outside contractors that just looked funny.
47.
47, if you look at,
Or was it mechanic? It was mechanics.
Just a second.
it's DA 5140.
802?
No, at Shelby, I think it was actually in the Prussian weeds. Because
Okay.
we're showing
Page 47.
page 47.
Is it the actual?
The outside contractors, we only have $348 through August. Last year, we spent 19,000. So when I looked at the old numbers and this year's numbers, there was a journal entry that reversed out most of these expenses, and we don't know. We think the journal entry might have been a misposting this year. So we're just waiting to hear back from the accounts. I think the 10,000 is probably going to be the right number, but we just,
And these outside
I'll double check.
contractors are people we hired.
yeah, if we, hire, somebody to take down a big tree.
If the
road
tree goes
properties.
through the wires, sometimes we have to get
Yeah, we need to,
PSC&G to come in, or if it's a larger tree than we can handle, we contract with Dan
Yeah, I
Clark
was
to
gonna say
do the
Dan
larger
Clark,
tree
or-
work.
yeah.
They just came through my street and tore everything up. I
Mhm.
think it was.
PSC&G
PSC&G.
does that, they
Yeah.
clear all the wires, but when there's like a really, really large tree, we don't have like a bucket and everything, so then we hire outside to help,
Mhm.
big stuff.
They made a total mess, but.
They do that. They care more about
Mhm.
keeping the wires up after a storm than they do about the prettiness of the trees.
yes.
Yeah.
The rest of the page that we were going to go through for today is just the health insurance stipends, health insurance in the DA and DB funds. We're saving for Tuesday. Joe will come in and talk to us about the 100,000 plus for the town building water system needs and the county mandate.
Okay.
Amber and I need to sit down and go through the alarm system penalties. She was working on that this week, and so now,
Let's see, which.
She mentioned earlier.
Talking about repairs and maintenance.
I'm sorry, what?
Which one are you talking about?
Oh, at first I was talking about the repair, the 125,000. Joe will help us understand, because that was a $100,000 increase. But the
Right.
county, we are on notice to get our non-public drinking water up to snuff
Mhm.
to meet their codes.
And Joe's coming in when?
Tuesday,
But
9:30.
Yeah, Tuesday, we've got a busy day. We've got Historical Society, Joe, Reed Karen, and Ken Lewis all coming in.
Before the work session at 1.
Yes.
So Tuesday, we're here all day.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to go over, I mean, there's other things I want to go over, but what I was able to prepare for today was COVID money.
Mhm.
One of the candidates at the forum asked the question, what happened to the COVID money? And did it go into fund balance? The answer to that is no, it's not allowed to go into fund balance. And could it be used for a planner? And the answer to that is also no, it can't be used for a planner. So I prepared a schedule, so you'll find one that says use of COVID/ARPA money.
Yep.
So the COVID money was allocated mostly in the 2024 budget. And so I had covered this briefly when we did our opening meetings to talk about COVID money and why our budget why we were only putting in the high water rescue vehicle and capital improvements, because a lot of last year's capital expenditures were to be paid with COVID money. So I thought I must not have done a good job explaining myself, so here's a schedule that does a better job of explaining it for everybody. So originally, COVID money, we received from the federal government $246,768.49. The original allocation was to $30,000 for the EMS power lift stretcher, $10,000 towards the upgrade of EMS radios, $80,000 for the upgrade of the police radio system, $10,000 for the air burner feasibility study, $60,000 for facilities master plan to get started on that. $15,000 was put in, was designated to go into capital reserves, and then there was an unallocated was another $41,768. During this year, Shelby sat down with the outside accountants to go over what is eligible for ARPA money. Because if we receive the funds, and so they're sitting in the bank account, we have to go back to the federal government by the end of 2024 to say, these are the things we're going to spend the money on. So in reviewing that with the accountants, they went through and said, air burner feasibility study, that is not an allowable. Actually, Shelby, do you have it with you? What we can use? Yeah, the notes on what ARPA money can be used for. Yeah, if you want to grab that, I'll continue to go through. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. So the air burner feasibility study, that is not eligible to be submitted for COVID. It's not that we're getting a reimbursement, we have the money. If we can't prove how we're using the COVID money, then we have to give it back.
Right.
So, and Shelby will go through the list, but so the air burner feasibility, when that was put in last year, that's like, no, we can't use it for that. The facilities master plan, that's not something that's eligible to be paid for with COVID money. We can't put $15,000 into the capital reserve because we have to show how we're using it for, and it's like basically infrastructure, ADA compliance, health and public safety, those kinds of things. And then unallocated, that wouldn't be acceptable, that would have to go back. So in looking at the what is allowable, we had the ambulance barn garage expansion. So that was money, so that the things that I read at the top of the list were how it was allocated to get to the 246. Other projects that were coming out of the capital improvement plan monies was $90,000 for the ambulance barn garage expansion.
We just come at 136.
It's actually 153,000 because it's the 136 plus 16,000. So that is an allowable use of COVID money. So we're going to pay for that project. So I've done some reallocations and said, okay, upgrade of EMS radios, 10,000. I moved that down into taxpayer money, coming out of taxpayer money, because we have three things. The power lift stretcher is definitely a good use. The upgrade of the police radios is a good use, and the ambulance barn. That's three bigger expenditures that it's easier for us to pull together all the paperwork to submit and prove that we've done good, good things with this money.
So, okay, so the 246 is fully being spent on these three things.
Yes. Yes. And so then, because we had designated and had left, in the capital fund, 90,000 for the ambulance barn expansion, we can then just reallocate that 90,000 to projects that were decided on in last year's budget that we wanted to work on for capital, but we're just rejiggering the money so that we qualify for the COVID money. So it leaves 16,000 that needs to, that we'll still need from that original 90,000 for the garage expansion, because it just came in a higher price. The EMS radios, it's just not worth another piece of paper that we need to submit to the government, so we just moved that and said, all right, we'll use the ambulance barn money for that. The air burner feasibility study, that's coming out of that original 90,000.
What is that, by the way?
It's down at the recycling center. They're looking at whether or not they could have this air burner unit that you put and I think it's, Ken can talk about it further on Tuesday, but I think it's like, I don't know if it's just, I don't think it's brush and weed. I think it might be clean construction debris. You put it into the air burner and it
It's an
obliterates it.
incinerator.
Yeah, incinerates it, so that all you have left is some ash, and some of the ash might be usable for something.
You can sell it.
And we're kind of a good test place for it because we're so self-contained and shipping costs and things like that. So I'll make sure he speaks to that.
How much does that, they cost? What is the ultimate cost of those, if you don't know?
No, we have an
Just
estimate.
curious.
Yeah, let me just look, because it was in here. It was like $20,000 to do the initial look-see. I don't have it here. I think it's like 200, it's like over $200,000. But we might be able to, like, if we decide to move forward with it, we'd apply for grant money. This is just to see whether or not we could do it and become more self-sufficient.
Then our C&D expense,
Our C&D expense is,
I'm just kidding, we don't, I'm
Mhm.
making you dig through it.
yeah, I mean, we would do that, yeah. We do charge for C&D.
Disposal of it.
That the disposal is landfill. Page 24. We have a budget of 143,000.
Oh, I see what's happening.
But getting back to the COVID money, so then,
It's fully spent over 3 items.
yes, it's fully spent over 3 items. And then because the ambulance barn was over budget, originally we thought, the estimate was 60,000 for the initial phase of the facilities master plan. But to cover that ambulance overage, I pulled from the facilities master plan down to 53,487. However, I think that the initial phase will be less than that.
Okay.
And that's something that's going to go on an agenda soon, when we don't have a million things on the agenda. So we can start
Do
moving
we have a
forward.
power lift stretcher at all, or is this our
We
first
do.
one?
That is our second one. The first one was paid for by the Ambulance Foundation.
We have 2.
Oh, we have 2.
They want a third.
Yes, and talking to the ambulance people, it is needed
Oh,
in all 3 ambulances. So
I'm not surprised at your question, but that's a lot of money for a stretcher.
They're like 30, almost 33,000, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the foundation paid for one, like
That's
you
right.
were saying, and
Foundation
then the
paid for
town, the capital budget had it for this year.
Yeah.
Or last year, I think, one of them.
2023. Yeah. Yeah, in 2023. Yeah, so the foundation paid for one in 2023. We paid for one out of capital in 2023, and then this would be the third one. So if you look at the columns, you'll see original allocation of COVID money was the 246,000 plus 90,000 coming out of capital. If after all of the reallocations, we're still spending the 246,000 of COVID money, and we're still spending the 90,000. It's just been rearranged.
Makes sense.
So bottom line to the question that was asked, the COVID money, there was a plan, and it's being spent the way. Do you have? the-
Yeah, I think our understanding when we had that meeting with Jen Ditta, who's the contract accountant, was that it couldn't be used on, like, it definitely can't be used to like offset taxes, or like how we said to just put it into a reserve fund, a little bit of the money, like that was a no-no. I think it couldn't be used towards like general plans, so that's why the facilities master plan and like the air burner plan, she said no. It needed to be used for actual capital expenditure projects that were going to happen. And I know you can invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure, so that's one of the reasons why, like, the upgrade to the police radio, countywide system was eligible. And,
Considered broadband.
yeah, and then, they really want you to use the funds for like public health because it relates to the COVID-19 crisis, so,
So ambulance barn expansion is a great capital expense for that.
Right.
And
the structure. I think that's,
And police radios make sense, it's all part of that health and emergency
right,
response.
exactly.
Okay.
You could also use it for government services such as road building and maintenance, other infrastructure, also assistance to like nonprofits, food banks. I think Southold used some of their ARPA money for CAST.
Which is why also Cass came in to us earlier this year and said, we got ARPA money from Southold, would you like to give us some ARPA money? But I was sort of holding off because I wanted to see how the ambulance barn quote came into play, because I knew when it came in at $153,000 or whatever it is, I was like, we're gonna need, in the original estimates.
I'm sure you've said it, but we don't have to have the money spent by the end of the year. We just have to have the projects in place and a plan in place. So,
Yeah, so the power,
And this is our plan.
yeah, so
Yes.
power lift stretcher will be ordered. The radios have already
That's
been
been done.
paid for, and we have the quote for the ambulance barn, and that should get started sometime this year.
The designs and everything are already finished on that, so it's ready to move forward.
great. So all that stuff I'll have to like upload to this portal that I have to use to submit reporting on all these things.
So Jack's coming in. If you have any questions, can we ask him about that, Liz?
Well, on the ambulance barn, yeah. Mhm.
I think Ken has the plans he can send to you.
Okay.
You need to. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Thank you for this.
cross that off my list. Another thing that I would like to address, and I know Judith has come in, but there was a letter to the editor this week that talked about how the revaluation going to 100% plus this year's budget was going to just like skyrocket taxes. And I don't think the letter writer understands how the reval works.
Yeah.
It's not an increase in what the town is allowed to spend, it just,
It's a taxable rate.
yeah. So there was, Judith had done something, I thought it was this year, but maybe it was last year. And she had gotten some slides from the state, so I'd like to have her come back into maybe a budget work session or a regular town board work session to just show, like my plain vanilla example is if the tax base of the island is $100 million and your home is worth $1 million, you're paying 1/100th of the tax bill of the town. And so if the reval takes the town tax base from 100 million to 200 million, and your home value goes from 1 million to 2 million, you're still only going to pay 1/100th of the town tax bill.
Everything
So,
rises.
Yeah, so the tax assessment has nothing to do with what the tax rate gets set at, and that, like, it's only this 8% increase that impacts, and we're just one part of the budget. There's the state, the county, the school, the fire district, the library, town, so. I just wanted, but we'll have slides again to just show that.
Do another
Yeah, because
presentation.
I think there's something in there, it's like a 1.1% increase was going to cause the average homeowner to pay an extra $1,000 in tax. And
Which just
I
isn't-
have no idea how that calculation, because if that's the case, and we had a 10% budget out there, like, what's 10, like, 0.1, like, it would be a $100,000 increase, so the
For
numbers
everybody
weren't.
paying $100,000 in
Yeah,
taxes.
so it wasn't making sense. And for the fire district, they've always done something where they show, like, okay, this is the increase for the fire district, like if your home is worth, 1.1 million, your increase tax bill is gonna be like $20. So once
We
we,
had Judith do that last year,
So
towards
we'll-
the end.
yeah, once we get our numbers buttoned down, we will do the same thing to show what our piece.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I know the library wasn't really, their proposed in-grid tax was not a great big number,
Mhm, right,
you know?
yeah. Yeah, I don't think the debt service has kicked in yet, just since the debt service hasn't gotten layered on. So I don't, this year won't be a bad year for the library. Next year, it should be a little bit more. So that's something that I want to do for later. And so. And then I also need to just finish going through analyzing fund balances. That's all that I had to go over, so what do you all want to do next?
We have 20 minutes before Ellen and Dan
Mhm.
come.
Glad we're down to 8%.
Mhm.
No, we don't have another budget meeting after Thursday.
No, because we have to set the public hearing. So I was like looking at this thinking, I'm gonna see maybe if we can,
I think we just might need another meeting after Tuesdays with,
well, no, we have a meeting on Thursday. So we have
Right.
Tuesday with everybody coming in. I think I'm going to, let's see if we can move Chief Reed to 9:15 on Thursday,
okay.
so that after he comes in,
Well, he can even, because Ellen and Dan aren't coming, I should have crossed that off.
oh, right,
But he could even,
oh, yes,
even
okay.
ask him to come in
So
first.
have him come in at 9.
This is next Thursday?
This is next Thursday, because Tuesday, we're just gonna be listening to everybody.
yeah, I feel like we're gonna have some hard discussions after listening.
Yeah, so if we can have Chief come in on Thursday, then we get the rest of the morning session. And then that
To
gives,
try to nail everything down.
yeah, that gives Shelby and I just to make sure we've got all the numbers correct, and then we can get the set, the public hearing.
Well, one thing we didn't sort of agree on, do you want to take another stab at the salary issue? I mean, is there a way to budget it for $100? And if we spend $90, don't we just under budget?
Yeah, but then that means we charge the taxpayers that $10, and now we're just keeping it in the coffers.
Well, the other way is to charge it and not keep it in the coffers, and I'm not sure, doesn't matter.
I'm not following.
Yeah, well. I'm trying to find a way to set up the increase for a future board member and have it progress with the budget over the years. So say if we budget for $100 and we end up dispersing 90 of that $100, the 10 is just an under budget number,
Yes. But
and it goes into,
it doesn't help the taxpayers, because we've put the $100 in the budget, so they're paying for it.
it helps them get prepared for a future shift in the status of these jobs.
Or instead of that, we can I mean, we can keep it the way it is, and you and Albert can donate your salaries back to the town, and then we can reallocate those monies. But it keeps the salary at this rate, but then we redistribute the money to places where it's needed in the budget.
Is that possible? People can donate, the town's not a 501c3, but.
I don't know. It's something to look into, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to think outside the box. I mean, if you don't want your salary, that's okay, but, I don't,
So the group thing would be off the table, what you're saying. You don't want to participate in that.
I think it's a bad precedent, and I feel like that had been done years ago, where
Was.
I think the supervisor didn't take a salary increase for a number of years. And then it just wasn't,
There was one year, I think, that all elected officials.
yes.
We did do
Yes,
that one year.
yeah, that was one year.
We
Yeah.
didn't take the raise.
I forget if it was Gary or
It
Jerry.
was under Gary.
Yeah.
But no, I think under Jim Dougherty, I think he did increase the supervisor's salary for a couple of years. Which then I think Gary might have upped it one year. I think the town board didn't take increases, but I think maybe Gary took an increase that year just to try and make up for the other years. I mean, symbolically, it looks good, but I just think that if you're trying to attract people, you need to keep things somewhat competitive. And it's not even competitive with the other towns. I mean, I gave you the schedule just so you would know. It is competitive with what people can do with their time. And if we want to attract younger people, people who have other jobs, there is a trade-off. Like I know, me being on the town board, my accounting practice suffered because I was not putting in the hours there, so I was not billing. So it is a balancing act that needs to happen.
Well, that's true. That's why I put it in the budget. And have it be. It's not a lot of money, but I mean, that money, there are gonna be overages in some of these categories. And the money that we don't take can be used for that.
Overages in which categories?
Well, I mean,
Because I.
We don't know, but
I cut a
eventually.
lot of stuff this year. Like,
Yeah.
things are like super close.
and at some point, one of those cuts or calculations will be a little off. And we'll be over budget in a category.
And we'll be under budget in another category.
Yeah. But at least stated in the budget, the salary will make its progression. I'm trying to protect salaries keeping pace with inflation,
Mhm.
but not actually take the money.
I'm having trouble understanding how that's doable, I guess, is where.
Yeah, it doesn't help the taxpayers.
Right.
The reason for the cut would be to help the taxpayers.
Okay, well,
And also, I think we're supposed to,
it does
like,
help them in the sense that there will be another category that'll be over budget. And at least it'll be slightly covered by what we don't take. So it does help the taxpayer.
but not in the current year. So. Like, you're not supposed to, like, fund balance, you don't want your fund balance to grow. Like you give it back, like we pull from fund balance because we are giving it back to the taxpayers because we over collected in some other prior year, whether it's, building department fees or over or.
But realistically, it's not gonna grow. I mean, there's gonna be some category, a group of categories that'll be over budget. Like the other thing to do is you guys take it, we don't, and then at some point in the future, there'll have to be a big step up, which is what I was trying to avoid.
I just prefer slow, consistent. I'm not trying to get ourselves up to other municipalities.
Yeah, that's what that's what I was trying to get to with, yeah, okay, raise it in the budget and not take it and have a little under budget number for this category that'll offset an over budget number in another category. So the taxpayer does benefit, because the fund balance doesn't go. Just, spitballing, trying to
Mhm.
figure out a way to
Yeah.
do this.
Mhm.
What was the number you came up with, Amber? 10,000? What was it?
Yeah, I think I've already
10,000 something, thereabout.
cleared it.
Doesn't have to be exact.
Yeah.
Wait, we can save it for Tuesday. Think about it over the weekend.
Mhm.
That was the only other thing I had for today. Oh, man, it's a powerless stretcher plus 30, that's a car.
Yeah, it's like 32,000. Yeah, so it's 10,000, let's just say $10,400 for just around.
Technically, I keep meaning to bring this up to you and I haven't. You do have a fourth council person spot. That the
Yeah,
money
I
has
was
been
gonna say,
spent this year.
There's been,
So just,
Yeah.
is it earmarked for something
Mhm.
now? Okay.
Well, it
Yes,
is. We can't just whack it up between us.
No, no.
I mean, I know it'll kick in a little bit toward the end of the year when the person starts.
Yes,
And then they'll
yes.
be paid.
Yeah, no, there was something that I approved recently, and I meant to tell you, like, we're gonna need to do a budget transfer. What was it? There was something that came in.
Okay.
The ambulance warrant, I figured this, yeah, the ambulance warrant, I figured out this.
needs assessment?
No, because that's covered here. We're gonna be over in legal fees, so some of that can get allocated to cover the legal fees, or another category that,
Just to keep in my mind for budget transfers.
Yeah, I figured once we get it past,
That's $45,000.
well, there'll be like a month of salary. Depending on when the election gets certified.
So maybe there's a month, maybe there isn't, depending on when it gets certified, how close they are.
Yeah, I feel like last year it got certified in,
Wait.
December?
Oh, well, there's
Like
another
early-
action for us to
early
take,
January?
though. Don't we have to appoint that person? There's another administrative action.
They get sworn in January. Or
January 2nd.
no, they can get, once the election's certified, they're filling the open seat, so they can start, like BJ.
Started.
She was filling Mike Debon's seat, and so when the election got certified, she was able to start.
Yeah, but that's not automatic. Or is it automatic? I don't know.
We may have to do a resolution.
I think we have to appoint them, don't we? Because officially their term starts January 2nd.
No, I think officially it starts when they're certified.
Ooh, another question to be answered.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because it's vacancy.
because it's a vacancy. It's a vacancy, so
Right.
once the public has spoken, then I think it's automatic. But
Okay, I mean.
We'll have to check.
Yeah,
it's-
yeah,
it's
I think,
worth-
but I think
worth
last year,
more.
I'm trying to remember when the results were certified. I feel like it was like early.
A vacancy, like it's an appointment, kind of like how I filled out that.
Mhm.
Right. Well, and like,
It was,
when BJ won, it was a clear, it wasn't super close, so it was clear that she was going to be, that she won that race, so she was able to be appointed early.
Mhm.
Well, that would be the case now. Once the Board of Elections determines who won, they could sit down at the table. Is that right, or they have to wait till,
It has to be certified, because,
by the Board of Elections, yes,
Yes.
but then they can sit down. They don't have to wait till January 1 or whatever the.
correct, yes, yes.
we don't think, but
No, I'm positive on that, once the
Yeah.
election results are certified. I just don't know whether or not it's like they just show up, or if we have to take a board action to also.
Like a resolution to appoint them to finish out that term for that year, before they get officially start on the year.
I think it's automatic.
Okay.
I think, they just come and sign the oath of office.
is anything in government automatic?
That might be one of them.
I haven't
You have to
seen
wait
it
for- you have
yet.
to wait for like, the rest of the absentee ballots to come in, and then if there's any challenges to the results, then you have to wait for any recanvass to happen. So, like, that happened, I believe, last year, so it had to,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
happened last year.
yeah, so it had to wait. Yeah, because I remember Gordon calling and just saying, like, I'm not congratulating you yet because I'm waiting for the results to be certified. So, I just don't remember when the certified happened.
Okay.
I think for mine, it didn't happen until maybe early January. It was like
Oh, yeah, you were
late December,
close.
early January.
Did
It
you-
was really like
Mm-hmm.
at
did you
the
lose
start
like
of the
4
term.
votes or something?
Five.
It was,
It would have been 6 if my brother voted.
I think it was 6 going in.
Maybe he
That
voted
problem.
against you.
No, he didn't vote. He hadn't registered. I solved that problem. That boy is now registered and ready to go.
Yeah, I think it was 6 going into the recanvass, because I actually
Yeah.
went to a Board of Elections, because no one else on the
Yeah.
committee could, and I'd done it before, so.
Hey, Shelter Island, 10 votes is a
It's
landslide.
a lot, yeah. All right. I thought I
I saw
saw.
Ellen too.
I saw
Yeah.
Ellen.
I don't know if Dan is here.
Down here for you.
I'm almost done with my breakfast.
Yeah,
Are those regular?
Oh, this is
They're not
the-
frosted.
Presbyterian Church, right?
Mhm. They are regular.
Ugh.
I know, as a kid, hated it. Now on my restricted diet for now.
Can't even go frosted? At least that'll be worth it. It's efficient.
While she's doing that. So we are scheduled for this afternoon, so are there other things that you all want to work on this afternoon? Or do we cancel this afternoon and just reconvene on Tuesday morning?
Well, I have a question now, if we want to,
Okay.
I don't know if Ellen's coming in.
Yeah, when she, we'll go with
To
the
answer your
question.
question, yes, we should cancel this afternoon.
Okay.
The Water Advisory Committee,
Mhm.
we took out the $5,000.
Yes, the thought there was that we would, if they want to do water testing, go to WQI and apply for grant.
Okay, the $20,000 was left in.
The 20,000 is left in because it's this year's money and it's getting rolled over. So there is on page 1 on the cover sheet, because they haven't spent it this year, it rolls back into fund balance. So if you look at the cover sheet on the very first page of your budget book. If you look down towards the bottom in the notes section, there's a fund balance poll of 20,000. It says WAC saltwater. That's good. Have you got it? So
Yes.
we're putting it in so that they just in essence, are rolling it over.
What's that used for?
They were going to do something with USGS to study saltwater intrusion. There used to be a contract that we did with USGS, because there used to be, at one point, there were 3 contracts. There was one for water,
I was on the WAC, so I'm very familiar with the
yes.
saltwater intrusion study.
okay, yeah,
Is this,
It was to repeat that study, so that we
Yes.
had changing over
Yeah.
time.
so this is not going to be for the water testing?
no,
Judy found that
Okay,
quickly, but, about BJ, that we did appoint her.
Peter had alluded to
Ah,
$20,000 in the WAC
Mhm.
that was going to be used to cover the water testing.
Yeah.
Okay,
5,000 that's there for water testing can be used for the
so
water
we
testing,
did
but the
actually have a
20,000.
resolution.
It's
There was a resolution that we.
And I talked to him about
BJ.
okay, all right.
just to make sure, because I didn't want him to spend it, like, mess up my budget, so.
I have to say, Amber, I appreciate the work you've done on this,
Mhm.
because you clearly have spent a lot of time.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's part of the job.
And I appreciate the effort you put into here.
Yeah, it's part of the job, so.
Hi, Ellen.
No.
Yeah,
Oh, actually, I guess, yeah, I was gonna have you guys move up, but there's, like, now we'd have to rearrange seats, but we're good.
And they are on the camera. They
Yeah, I did just see that.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, because we've had, like,
We're
we've had a
watching
couple
you.
of camera issues, so.
Or a different chart.
Yes. Yeah, so the 3 of us sat down and went over the increase that is being proposed for the nutrition program rent of the Presbyterian Church. But I thought the rest of the board, because it is such a large increase, would like to also hear, like, your thinking and how you got there. A little bit about, I mentioned to them that the original lease agreement that we have with Monday, Wednesday, Friday, certain hours, and the program's running Tuesdays and Thursdays, and has expanded into that, expanded the hours a little bit too. So from my calculation on the existing rent and hours to extrapolating to the actual hours that are being used, the increase makes sense. But
It's 48, what was it before? It was 30?
24,000, it's on page, not
So it was $2,033 a month presently for the last 5 years.
page 18.
18.
Well, each year we get a CPI increase.
Yeah.
So it does go up gradually each year. That covers the cost of living, cost of expenses.
yeah,
So
so,
I wouldn't say cost of expenses. Don't say-
Well, no,
don't say
no,
that.
no.
I was gonna say yes, yeah, and so,
Thank you.
yeah, and Dan spoke to me about all of the expenses that the church incurs that are incorporated here, and so I thought it would be good for you
Yes.
to reiterate.
That's what I wanted to
Just
hear.
before we begin, I just would like, and then Dan will take over. I just would like to just tell the board that the program has been at the church for over 40 years. And it is a well-run program. It has served the community well and continues to serve the community well. We love having the nutrition program there. It's good for us as well. However, we're not profiting any monetarily or anything. It is, as Dan will tell you, we have looked at this year, as this lease was coming up, and we were going, yikes. So now I'll turn.
Well, it's been more of a community service. No one's really looked at it as if a rental is a business and out of community service. So it's been a great big favorite for a long time.
Yeah.
But, now it's hard times.
And we have incurred, we, two new boilers, and that at a sizable cost, and just the wear and tear.
And the church paid for that?
Yeah,
And the boiler service just this space or the whole building?
it's a whole building,
So
but it makes the hot water and it makes the heat and, keeps what we need for the whole building. But, when it craps out, we have to replace the whole thing at $70,000 and nothing can happen. And, the lunch program stops because you don't have hot water, no heat in the building, so, it kind of cripples us. So we pulled together and we're still paying it off, but we're getting close.
You mean the church?
The church.
Yeah,
Yes.
got it.
Jennifer Norris.
You spoke to some of the other costs that, that are not included in the rent, like the heating and electricity and.
Sure, I mean, when you look at
Yes.
it, that the hours of the use of the building compared to what the rent is, we're giving you our kitchen, bathrooms, septic system, parking lot,
Storage.
storage, heating unit for $14 an hour. So,
So utilities are not included in the 24,000.
no, we are eating all the utilities. We pay $10,000 for, oil per year.
Oh, you don't separately bill.
No, $1,500 for propane. A septic system has not been serviced, which it should be serviced every 3 years because of kitchen use. So, that needs, any minute now, something's gonna happen, I'm afraid. The air conditioning is running, every lunch program when it's warm out. And so that was our last issue, is one of the systems died. So that's another $11,000 that we are raising still to, keep the room cool for you. And us too, but.
Yeah, and us too, but you're there 5 days a week.
And I'm there once in a while on Sundays.
Right.
Did you have a question, Meg?
The water system, we manage that, right? The-
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, because of the nutrition program
Right.
being there, we were the cause of
Of that.
Suffolk County coming in and
Right.
telling the church they were not in compliance, so,
Did the town pay for that separately?
yes, yeah, that was a number of years ago, and, yeah, you might have still been on the board then. Yep. So since we were using the building and we brought that on, we
Right.
felt compelled to.
Are we paying for the disposal of the
Yes.
Mhm.
effluent? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You are working on fundraising to renovate the kitchen.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, I just realized in here, one of the things, we started to talk about it for the lease negotiation, which I'll be working with Stephen to start to draft something up soon, because it does expire at the end of the year. We will not be able to use the facility for a certain number of weeks while you're doing the renovation. So,
It was probably 2 months,
Mhm.
how construction goes, if you say 2,
Mhm.
it could be 3.
Okay, because I want to build into the lease that if we're not able to use it, that we would,
Prorate.
prorate the rent for next year. So actually, it just occurred to me, it's like, ooh, I can take that 48,000, maybe I'll take 2 months off just to be conservative.
Well, yeah, I get it, but we did talk about, because your refrigeration
Mhm.
and your freezers and all your supplies will be there, and I'm sure, I don't
We
know
still-
if
yeah.
the staff will be there, working, in the fellowship hall, doing their paperwork and their,
No, if we have to move the,
or you would move
the
the
congregate,
refrigeration and all,
well, that I'm not sure about, so we'll have to look at
because
that.
there are some heavy duty.
Yeah, I don't think we want to do that, but I mean, we'll have to, we can sit down and go through, like, okay, this is like during renovation, like this will stay, like that back room, maybe we'll
Yes.
continue to use that whole big storage area, like what we will and will not be able to access. Because we'll probably have to move the congregate meals to either the senior center or to the community center across the street. But maybe something along the lines of reduced rent for that time period too.
Yes, we talked
Yeah,
about that.
that's
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah,
Sure.
just for those times that you can build that into the lease. I mean, it will definitely happen during this 5-year period.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, do you think it'll be 2025 or 2026?
Well, our fundraising is in place, so we're waiting for the final okay from the health department.
Mhm.
So we did have a letter come back couple weeks ago with a couple more questions
Mhm,
for Matt Sherman, who's our engineer.
mhm.
And so it was just fine tuning of, distance between the sink and a table and things like that that weren't in the original application. So
Okay.
it shouldn't be an issue. So, and then we're looking at, once we get their okay, our money's in place, we're gonna pull the trigger on ordering our material, which is about 6 weeks out.
Okay.
'Cause I'm not gonna start anything until we have everything on hand.
Yep. We know how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get on it, and Reece Jacqueline is ready to get on it and stay on it, and, they give us a great deal, the whole thing at their cost. So,
Thanks.
it's a home run,
Generous.
really.
So it sounds like a 2025 event.
Yeah, so maybe we'll be able to shave, a few $1,000s off of this. But I'll talk to Kelly and Emily and back down with the two of you, and we'll come up with something, and then maybe by Tuesday or Thursday, be able to adjust the 48,000 for the 2025 year down a little bit.
Good.
Okay.
We had to help the budget.
Doesn't help your budget, but.
I mean, otherwise, the increase absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I mean, just,
Not questioning, it It does make sense.
hours alone, use of the facility.
It's been,
We've
it's just
slowly
been
taken over.
a long favor of, and no one really,
No one
sat
really,
sat down and looked at the cost of everything,
Mhm.
uh,
Or even,
recently.
yeah, and also just the expansion of the use, like that just sort of crept in
right,
there.
I think that's what
Mhm.
really got us,
Yeah.
like, our attention, is wow, you're here every day now.
Yeah.
It's fine, but
But it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
yeah,
It
they
is a lot.
come in, turn the heat up, turn the lights on.
Right,
Yeah.
And the mission creep can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it's been going on really for now, a year and a half,
Mhm.
they have been that increase.
Yeah.
So, and we didn't
Yeah, we didn't come back and
increase them or
renegotiate.
anything, we just figured,
Yeah, so thank you for that.
Yeah, it shows the need, there's much more need now
Yeah.
for that service, so
Right.
it's great.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they are expanding the program, so
Yes.
there's more people who show up on
Mhm.
a daily basis, so. And the Meals on Wheels, ebbs and flows, but has been
Yeah.
increasing.
And there are health department, increases in requirements now, so
Right.
Mhm.
where they used to have a refrigerator and freezer, now they need 2 refrigerators, 2 freezers solely for theirs that can't be shared with us, so we have to have, the church has their own little refrigerator,
Mhm.
and, so that's 4 big units to be plugged in now.
Mhm.
Significant
It is.
increase
Yeah,
in
yeah,
water usage.
Thank you for working with the town.
Mhm.
Oh, we're all together.
we're all together, right, exactly. Yeah. And like I said, we enjoy, I mean, I don't know if anyone has ever been, just pop their head in over on a Monday or Friday. I mean, it really is, they got the music going on the TV, and there's a lot of, it's a good thing, good social thing.
And now that I'm 65, maybe one of these days I'll go have lunch up there.
I think you're eligible at 60.
Holding off.
Free lunch, huh?
$4.
$4,
$4.
$4 on
Yes.
that
Lunch is a pretty great deal.
every day?
$4.
Mondays and Fridays. Mondays and Fridays.
But, and Wednesday it's.
Over 60.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, grab and go. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm.
It's pretty good.
Any other questions from?
So Mondays and today's Friday. $4 lunch on
You
that.
could go, you could go. All right, thank you so much for coming in.
Okay.
And I
Thank you, guys.
we'll set something up for, I'll talk to Kelly and Emily first to
Perfect.
figure out.
Thank you all, thank you for the work that you all.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us use the space.
Yes.
Thank you.
Time does lunch start?
Well, we were scheduled to go until noon or as needed. So are there any other questions? Like I had covered the things that were on my list. Topics to go over.
Most of my questions are gonna come up on Tuesday.
Mhm.
With those $100,000, the water systems, the building department, those are all the questions I have.
Yeah.
We need to talk
That's a
to
question.
some of these people first.
Have you seen the quote for the water system? I haven't, but. Well,
Oh, for
we can deal with it on
Yeah,
Tuesday.
Joe will go over all that.
Joe's
costs and estimates.
yeah.
Um, and some options.
I will redo the budget items to review lists to shift down things that are going to be Tuesday, so we don't miss anything. But you all pay attention to it, just in case I do miss something. Although Shelby and she looked at it to make sure she highlighted things for me.
Okay.
Spreadsheet.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so we'll move chief up on Thursday.
Yeah.
So for this afternoon, then, do we cancel this afternoon's meeting because we don't have anybody coming in? We'll have people coming in on Tuesday, so then Thursday we need to.
Yeah, I mean, we might need to add an afternoon session on Thursday.
So Anne Marie and Jack are coming in, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me,
Yeah,
coming in,
we'll have to reschedule them.
okay,
Yeah, and Judy texted me, she didn't know when to reschedule Jack because we have to talk to Labor Council first.
all
So
right.
And Monday we have
Monday, nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
So it's
Yeah,
all
'cause-
day Tuesday.
yeah, because somebody didn't have availability on Monday. I can't, but, and then,
CPM.
And Thursday.
yeah, and my
Next meeting's
schedule.
all.
Yeah, I was gonna say my schedule on Monday is now hideous.
Well,
Yeah, Monday.
Thursday, 9 o'clock, that's gone, or are Ellen and Dan coming back in?
No, you
That
can
was-
scratch that out.
Yeah,
Chief is coming in at 9.
yeah, we're gonna
We
move
bumped
chief
him
up.
up to 9.
Yeah. Chief Reed is gonna come.
Exactly, that's what mine looks like. Yeah. Okay,
I make a motion to adjourn.
okay, we will recess the meeting until
Tuesday.
Tuesday, 9 o'clock.